wrong side of the pond. It's another international break, episode 14. I'm Jeremy Lance. He's DJ Schweitzer.
Welcome.
Do we have things to talk about?
I think we have a few things to talk about.
Yeah, we got stuff.
We could talk about all the naps I've taken
Yeah.
over the course of this international break.
Sleeping in on Saturday?
Yeah, I've been sleeping in quite a bit. It's been nice. You been sleeping in at all?
No, I have 3 kids.
Okay.
What are you, insane?
Yeah. Well, that's coming.
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, it's true.
Sleeping in?
That doesn't even happen for you.
I mean,
anymore.
I get up normally at 5, so like if I can make it to like 7, I feel like I've stolen something.
Well, I won't rub your face in it anymore.
Yeah, no, thanks. Yeah, you know what? I gotta be honest. This was like the international break that felt like it's lasted an eternity.
It's gone a really, really long time.
I mean, the U.S. played a meaningless, and they really showed how meaningless it was by their effort.
Yeah, it was completely
meaningless
pointless.
match. Yeah, against Scotland. They got one against Austria. So yeah, we had some relevant soccer matches in the past couple days.
There have been a few things that have been important.
Obviously, UEFA had their 4 playoff matches. The first leg was Friday. Second leg, again, probably has just wrapped up. So you know more than we do.
Yeah, but pretend like we already know more than you do.
We totally know those answers. Even though it's Monday night, it's still 10-0 in this Monday night football game. That tells you about where we're at right now.
Early. It's early.
Also, Mexico.
They're probably going to the World Cup, I think.
New Zealand. We hardly knew ye.
Yeah. We didn't really need to know ye either.
Yeah. You know, it wasn't even like long enough as like a summer camp friend that like you guys are best friends for a week and then poof, you never see him again.
No. I mean, we couldn't even make the bond.
This was one day. The second leg is at 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so I don't believe I'll be watching that one.
I'll be staying up for it.
And that's about it. I mean, other than that, obviously Africa had their weird, their second leg from the matches they played last international break.
Right.
So they had, those are kind of wrapping up. I'm going to go ahead and predict that Ghana advances, although that hasn't happened yet.
No, but I would say with a 6-1 aggregate lead.
We're going to go ahead and mark that one down in our books.
Yeah.
Nigeria advances over my beloved Ethiopia. Ivory Coast and Cameroon will join them as well.
Yeah, so the interesting thing is the African teams that are due to qualify or have already qualified are the exact same teams that also qualified for South Africa.
Yeah, this is kind of the normal cast and crew that we're used to, I guess.
Yeah, so no real change. CONCACAF is really playing out to be the same way, assuming that New Zealand doesn't come back with some miraculous victory down under.
I think we'll go ahead and pencil them in as well, pencil in Mexico.
So consistency across those two continents. I will say with
the consistency of Africa is true. I watched that Ivory Coast match. I'm pretty sure it's the exact same roster that played in 2010.
I'm almost positive,
Kalou, Javinho.
Yeah.
They're the same dudes.
Well, they need a bunch of walkers to get to the pitch. That's an old team.
That is
They have both the Torre brothers. Kolo Torre is like 90.
Could this be potentially the last of an era for Ivory Coast? I mean, who do they have coming up behind that's going to be able to carry this team?
Solomon Kalou?
Yeah, Kalou's he's still young.
He's still young. He's just been around forever.
He's played over there in Turkey, so that'll age you pretty well, though.
Yeah. No, that's pretty much where people go to retire.
Yeah. So we got that going on. We're also going to take a look at the U.S. squad. We are obviously still, we're still a couple weeks away from the draw for the World Cup, let alone the World Cup itself. But we're going to go ahead and give you each of our mock 11 for the U.S. squad. The predicted starting 11 for a match. I mean, it'll kind of differ from match to match and group.
Right. It depends on who you're playing.
But yeah, well, we're going to go ahead and give our first mock 11s. We'll try to do this a few more times, probably with the rest of the international breaks that we have between now and then. We'll go ahead and make this a thing.
So that way you guys can know how poorly we're doing, and we'll give you an updated record of that.
Yeah, I was going to steal a line from I saw Ian Dark in the boot room chat over the weekend, or was it Friday, I think. kind of basically saying, predictions, all they do is just make a fool of you.
Right. It's always tough when you put yourself out there.
It is.
Because you know you're going to get one wrong.
It was funny. He goes, well, we all know predictions makes fools of us all, and then he proceeded to give his full prediction for the UEFA playoffs.
Well, he probably did okay.
He had France.
Yeah, well, maybe he didn't do that okay.
There's that.
So you are a fool, Ian Dark.
All right, let's get into the UEFA playoffs.
Okay.
Ukraine, 2.
France, 0. So the French find themselves
in the hole.
In the hole, a big hole, heading back to the bastion of security that is Paris.
Yeah, I feel like they'd almost rather this be the other way around.
Yeah, they absolutely would.
They're just going to get booed for 90 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, that was something, I think they said it on the Football Weekly podcast, that this team will get turned on within, moments of the opening whistle. One bad pass.
Oh, the first missed pass, and it's going to be game over for the fans.
Downhill. So
they might just have a walkout. They might just do a walkout.
They may. So it's almost as if they're still experiencing a bit of a hangover from that entire experience of the last World Cup.
They've been a bit of a circus for too many years now.
I mean,
you said it dated back to the last World Cup. They were a circus then.
Yeah. I mean, if anything else, if they do miss out, it'll be a pity because whether they're producing something on the field, which they're absolutely capable of. I mean, look at that roster. It's pretty.
It was an
extremely
pretty stacked, competent roster as well. I mean, you had Ribery, you had Nasri, you had Giroud, who's been having domestically a very solid season.
Yeah.
You had
from Paul Pogba.
You had Remy.
Yeah. Loic Remy.
You had some guys that
Karim Benzema. I mean, Hugo Lloris. Yeah. I mean, they have a ridiculously deep talent pool to select from in France. I mean, and they just can't seem to put it together.
I mean, they put out probably their most competent 11 on Friday.
Right.
And that's what they got.
Yeah. So, I mean, they find themselves in a hole.
Koscielny's out.
Koscielny is out. He picked up a red card in the penalty
that
he conceded, and Koscielny is most definitely an idiot.
I'm going to say he's probably going to be wise to not show his face around Paris for a while.
I would imagine not. That'd be a wise choice.
He creates the penalty on the first yellow, and then in the dying seconds of the match gets himself tossed.
Yeah, so not the wisest choice from him. But I think even from a sporting perspective, if we ignore that for a moment, if France aren't at the World Cup, what are we going to do for drama? I mean, someone else is going to have to fill the hole.
Mexico's qualifying. So
maybe
you got that.
Maybe
going for you.
So that they could provide and fill in the gap. But
they've been a bit of a crap show lately.
Yeah, I mean it's just a shame to think that a team with that much talent probably won't qualify. So,
it is, but
this
is what they've become.
Well,
I mean, Friday was almost what you expected in so many ways because they have not really shown that they have fixed the ego problem. I don't know what it is, but the fact that this squad continually has great talent and yet they can't get along.
Mm-hmm.
I heard someone quoted, and I think it was Daily Mail, as this whole squad is just pretending to get along.
Right.
Well, they're doing a terrible job pretending.
Yeah, no one's really getting along in that squad. So it is kind of interesting to see. Every major tournament, there's a team that misses out, and that absolutely shouldn't. And you can look back all the way to like World Cup '94 when England missed out. Huge miss, something that they talked about to this day.
Yeah.
You can look back a few more years and you've seen some other really big teams that have missed out. So it's not unheard of, and maybe it's just France's turn. And sometimes these are the kind of things that can shock a footballing nation into fixing their problems.
Sure.
But the French may just continue infighting.
Prideful nations.
Yeah.
The other big one, the actual big one, Portugal won, Sweden 0. Ronaldo draws first blood.
Yeah, it was a hell of a goal, too.
Wow.
I mean, a diving header with, through traffic in the box, a clinical finish from a player that just has a massive chip on his shoulder right now, and he's using it to ridiculous effect.
For someone who has a face that's a total moneymaker, he really put it into harm's way there. Trying to get that goal. I mean, he could have easily just got grated in the face.
I mean, the funny thing is if he had gotten kicked in the face, it would have been his own fault.
Yeah.
And he probably would have been called for it. I mean, it's technically a dangerous play. So either way, I mean, it's a fabulous finish. He won the battle of, Ronaldo versus Ibrahimovic. And that's what everyone kind of hyped up before the game. But I think the point that everyone misses out on is Portugal don't exactly have a squad of nobodies.
Right. They seem to be the better side most of the match.
Right. And much like France, they always find themselves in a hole.
And they have man for man. They have the stronger side.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, can you name any other?
Can
you name many other players from Sweden aside from Ibrahimovic? Seb Larsson, the Sunderland left back / winger.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Elmander. Either way, I feel like everyone billed this out as a big match, but I think Portugal should have had the edge, and they're going to take it back into the next leg. The
big story though, from this match was for those of us here in the States, the ESPN3 broadcast was, would you say interesting?
Interesting is definitely a word you could use. You could also use unprofessional.
Possibly a Borat movie? It's almost as if we weren't getting actual professional play-by-play commentary, which was definitely not the case. But it was almost as if we were getting the commentary from some dude playing Xbox Live with his headset on.
Yeah.
That was about as smart,
just kind
and
of
articulate,
saying his thoughts out loud.
Yeah. A lot of
I felt like it was someone's 40-year-old uncle that doesn't really watch soccer was calling the game, but he kind of knew a few players' names here and there.
I saw the guys at the Men in Blazers. They tweeted out they thought it was maybe an Andy Kaufman bit.
Yeah, that could definitely be it.
Went to awfulannouncing.com to see if I could kind of figure out. Maybe they got some info on this. Maybe they were able to find out who this guy was, what his background was.
All right.
They don't have it.
What?
Couldn't figure it out. They do have this. This is the only information they were able to pull together. At the beginning of the broadcast,
okay,
the announcer is introduced as, I don't know if it was by himself or some studio guy or on,
the bottom of the screen,
an actual physical graphic. Josette Mourinho.
Josette Mourinho.
Yeah, Joset.
Josette, perhaps the formerly sister of Jose Mourinho.
Yeah, formerly sisters, and she had an operation.
Yeah, Josette Mourinho.
Yeah, that's all we got. That's the only information that Awful Announcing, that's kind of their business.
Yeah.
That's all they were able to find.
That's a really, really interesting thing. So how can I replace Josette Mourinho on the next ESPN3 broadcast?
I would say, and this goes back to what I was mentioning a second ago, go ahead and record yourself doing play-by-play the next time you are playing Xbox.
Okay.
And just send that in, and I'm pretty sure they'll send a jet out for you.
Oh, man, this is going to be great.
Yeah, because it was unbelievable.
Well, if you haven't listened to it, go out, Google, terrible announcing.
The Awful Announcing article actually had a little clip of Ronaldo's goal where he kind of goes, Ronaldo!
He scores!
Ronaldo! At one point, he does refer to it as the yellow team. That is a real thing that happened.
Yeah, the yellow team.
The yellow team.
I've forgotten who's playing in this match.
I think the quote was the yellow team with a free kick.
The yellow team with a free kick playing against the white guys with darker skin.
Yeah. ESPN's a pretty professional outfit.
They don't normally let amateurs in.
No, this was completely bizarre. So yeah, I think that was the biggest talking point most people had, at least on Twitter.
Yeah.
I heard more about the play-by-play guy being a complete joke, or possibly an actual joke, and possibly Borat, than I did about, Ronaldo's great goal. Fact that he's, they got the leg up.
Right.
It was all about Josette
Mourinho. The greatest announcer ever.
All right, Greece, Romania. Greece 3, Romania 1.
We kind of poo-pooed this game beforehand.
We did.
It actually turned out to be the most entertaining match of the 4 ties. And it was Greece pipped 2 really early goals, 2 within the opening 20 minutes.
I believe so, yeah.
It really did open up the match and made it so that Romania had to go on the attack.
They had to pretty much go after it.
So it did make for a really entertaining match. I ended up watching about half of it, and it was far more entertaining than some of the other matches I was subjected to over the week.
Yeah, I had the 4 screens up on ESPN3, and then on the big TV had the real stinker of the day, which was that Scotland USA affair.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah, this was a solid match. I think a lot of people would kind of either were like us, they poo-pooed it, or they just kind of looked past it because everything was all about Portugal and Sweden. Everything was about, Portugal, Sweden, France. One or more of these will not be qualifying.
Right.
It was all about that. It was all about which big club is going to fall. You got to remember, Greece is a team that's been hanging around for a while now.
No, I mean, they consistently do it, and it's one of the things about Greece that a lot of people dislike the way Greece plays, and I'm probably among them. They play really negative football and tend to sit in.
Consistently average.
Yeah, consistently average, but they just have figured out the equation for international matches.
They get enough done.
They do what they need to, and they're able to respond to situations they put themselves in. So I think everyone is kind of like sick of Greece. They'd rather watch something kind of entertaining, and it's not like Romania are known for their attacking prowess.
Right. I don't think we're losing anything by the fact that Romania looks to not be qualifying for the World Cup.
Right. This is why we don't need 40 teams in the World Cup. We don't need Romania in. I'm sorry.
The other one, Iceland, Croatia, 0-0 draw. Obviously for Iceland, they're looking at that as probably a victory.
Yeah, I mean,
especially since they played a lot of it with 10 men.
The dream goes on.
Yeah.
So I mean, credit to Iceland. They're in a situation now where they could potentially still make their first World Cup.
It was funny though. A lot of people were jumping on the Iceland bandwagon.
Yeah, I'm in that group.
Yeah, well, I'm not.
Why not?
Here's why.
Okay.
And I pointed it out on Twitter. It was picked up by a few people. I'm still bitter about Mighty Ducks 2.
Oh, man, I get that.
When that press conference with Coach Bombay was going on, and that Ratfink, what was his name?
I can't remember.
The dentist or whatever?
Yeah.
When that guy with his slick back hair and turtleneck under a blazer comes rolling into that press conference at what appeared to be the LA Coliseum and said, USA is going down. That is where they're going.
Ever since then,
sticks with me.
You've been against Iceland.
Yeah.
So were you conflicted
Screw you guys.
when Aaron Johansson joined the U.S. national team?
No, I thought it was great. That was a victory.
Like we stole one back on you guys.
Have you not?
This is for Mighty Ducks.
Have you seen that letter from their federation that they sent out?
Oh yeah, they're not pleased about
it. They're pretty mad about it.
Well, they don't produce too many sterling players up in Iceland.
Yeah,
so
I watched their match. They don't.
But we're a country significantly larger than them, and we're the ones needing to poach. So I guess we can't really talk.
Well, that's because the majority of our athletes play other sports.
That's true. That is an argument.
It is.
We could get into that, but we probably need a whole pod.
That's an entire pod. That's like the rainy day topic of what if LeBron were to play?
Yeah, he would be the best striker ever. He'd probably be like the new Pele.
He's probably built for more like he could probably be out there almost like a Drogba, just knocking people around.
You would hope that's what he would do.
Probably.
So
I guess he wouldn't be as big because the need would not be there to be just felt to the rafters.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's move on to some of the other matches. Mexico 5, New Zealand 1.
Yeah, we talked a bit about that earlier. There's really not a whole lot to say.
No, I mean there was the other bandwagon people were jumping on.
Yeah, come on, New Zealand.
Come on, New Zealand, we can do this. If they're able to get just even a halfway decent outcome in Mexico. You never know. They could get to New Zealand and there'll be time change and they could steal this one.
They won't be stealing anything.
Yeah, those dreams were quickly dashed.
Yeah, I mean, again, we talked about this in previous pods. Mexico not being in the World Cup is bad overall for our region. Yeah,
it's bad, but
we all would have enjoyed it. All would have enjoyed it, and we could have rubbed their faces in it for 4 years. But it just seems like the thing where we brag and rub it in their faces too long, karma is going to come back and smack us in the face. So I'm on that side, and I just think it's better for the region overall. We need another powerful team pushing us.
This never would have happened if we had just laid down to those Panamanians.
Yeah, all we had to do was just roll over.
Zuzi had to get greedy.
Well,
bastard.
You would go for the glory too.
I would.
Yeah.
I'd probably try to pour it on as many as we can score.
Yeah. There was another playoff game that was being played out same time. This one between the powerhouse of Jordan and the little-known team from South America, Uruguay.
I've heard of one of those.
Yeah. So Uruguay, unsurprisingly, of course, they're really not minnows at all. They rolled over Jordan.
5-0?
Yeah, absolutely. It was 5-0. So the really kind of incredible part on that was Suarez played 81 minutes in that match and didn't have any of those goals.
What's that?
Seems kind of
who had him? Cavani
had some. I feel like one of their defenders had one as well. I can't remember.
Cavani's that his flavor taster that he's got going. Did it score any goals?
I don't know.
The little tickler he's got going there.
I didn't see if that was actually what scored any of the goals.
No, that bottom lip.
Yeah.
You got to shave that thing, dude.
Well,
does not look good.
Well, maybe that's his Samson power. You know, if he cuts it off, he won't be able to score goals anymore.
He'll look like less of a douche. So there is that.
Score lots of goals and earn millions of dollars, look like a douche.
Well, he is playing in Paris, so he'd fit right in being douchey.
Yeah. All the douches.
All the douches.
All the douches. So, yeah, those were the intercontinental playoffs. There were a few, other ones that kind of went down, but they weren't.
Yeah, we mentioned Africa, Nigeria. Takes out. I brought the scarf with me.
Yep.
Takes out my beloved Ethiopia.
Yeah. Well, this is just retribution and karma for you stealing children from Ethiopia.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as a father of Ethiopians, I was crushed. As Victor Moses and I believe another guy also named Victor scored goals and completely sunk the battleship of little Ethiopia. I think 95th ranked in the world.
I mean, they were definitely the minnows and the underdogs.
Well, I mean, this is the farthest they've ever been in qualification, period.
Right.
I mean, it was a big deal for them to just get this far. I got into Ethiopia in June, shortly after they just qualified for this final round here. And talking to people that were there at the time, they said it was like people were on top of cars, dancing in the streets. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, people thought this was the greatest thing to ever happen.
So now they're probably back out in the streets on top of cars, rolling them over, lighting them on fire.
Might be on its hood.
It's unfortunate, but probably the way it was going to shake out against a Nigerian side that has, some experience in this department.
They're the current Cup of Nations champions. Yeah.
So this was kind of expected.
This was going to happen.
Yeah. The other match that hasn't yet played out that is pretty much just a certainty at this point, and we talked about this earlier, Ghana going into their second leg against Egypt, up 6-1. Probably going to be the last nail in the coffin for Bob Bradley's career in Egypt.
Yeah. I think it's foregone conclusion. Everyone obviously has already, in their minds, hired him for every opening available, including the ones that aren't available anymore, like Columbus.
Yeah. There are still people calling for that, by the way.
It's still going to happen, guys.
Yeah. Now we're just
Even though we just hired this guy.
Yeah. Berhalter, we liked you, but now that we know Bob's available, we're going to bring him in.
Ivory Coast got over on, was it Senegal?
Yeah. And just by the skin on their ball sack.
Yeah. And it was, you look at that Senegal side, that's a side with some quality.
Yeah. I mean, it's a team that has prior World Cup participants in it.
Yep.
And it's not like this Ivory Coast side has, really much to scoff at.
Right. But as we mentioned, it's the same dudes that were there the last time. I mean, this team is getting old.
Yeah. I mean, they are getting up there in years, but they did score. It was in extra time to actually put them through. Yep. So they just barely made it.
Just barely made it. Any other results before we get to the real stinker of the week?
Yeah, we can just roll into it.
Let's go ahead and poach this piece of poop.
Yep.
Scotland 0, USA likewise an effort. Yeah.
It was not really much of an effort, to be honest.
Yeah, obviously an experimental side.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of guys that we're normally not going to see. Wondolowski got some minutes there.
Yep.
Breck Shea got some minutes, although we'll get into it later, but I think that we will see him more.
Gasp.
Well, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I'm good with it.
Okay.
I've moved on. Yeah, it was just a real... I thought there was moments there where Josie was kind of trying, but I think it had more to do with him just kind of wanting to show his teammate Stephen Fletcher that he actually does know how to score a goal.
Yeah, I mean,
see, I can do this.
Yeah, I think it was kind of weird. Sunderland, who have been pretty much the least prolific side
right
in the Premier League, and both their starting strikers were starting for opposite sides in this match. So it was like destiny that this match would end up 0-0. I mean, it really was.
Gus was on hand for it.
Oh yeah,
check it out. Like, yep, that's my guys, not scoring.
Yep,
that's
there
them.
We go.
I know those dudes.
There we go. But I do think the really, poignant point about this entire match is it really looked like for a majority of it that neither side really cared to be playing it.
No, this was just a trip, free travel trip.
Yeah. Hey, let's go to Scotland. For at least a few of the guys out there.
I could use some whiskey. All right,
yeah.
Let's roll.
All right, let's go on out. Not that I imagine they do too much of the whiskey sampling. You'd hope anyway.
No, it's not too fattening to just do, just some sampling.
Yeah.
Just a nip.
Just a nip before the game,
Just a little bit.
Warms you up.
You stick your finger in the bottle and then you rub it on your gums.
Maybe that would explain the performance.
Oh, there you go.
That could be it.
There's a conspiracy theory I can get behind. They were drunk.
Yeah. The thing that I think is weird about this is, a couple guys had really indifferent performances, like Eddie Johnson. I thought he missed some opportunities, didn't really take the opportunity that Jurgen gave him in this match. But then you look at someone like Sasha Kleishin, who also just kind of had an indifferent match, didn't really make his imprint on the game at all.
His mustache definitely made an imprint on the game.
Well, it makes an imprint in just about anything that it rubs across.
He looked like, and I don't even like this show. I think it's a pretty crap show. He looked like Adam from Girls on HBO.
Huh?
Not a very athletic-looking dude.
Well, Sasha Kleishin in a nutshell. So shave the mustache, maybe you'll do a little bit better. But, Johnson will probably still end up making this World Cup squad as a reserve. But unless Kleishin really comes out and has like a lightning game against Austria in the midweek, he's probably done, and it's these kind of indifferent performances that can kind of swing a guy one way or the other.
Yeah, that was kind of the weird thing about it. Is in this match, there were so many guys that you had to think this was kind of their moment to make an impression, to show that they can bring something to this squad.
Right.
And it did not happen. I mean, you could look at a guy like Beckerman.
Right.
He's probably a bubble guy as far as the roster is concerned. I think he's got a decent shot to make it. I think he probably will, but I would say it's not secure enough to where you need to be given just it's kind of lollygagging.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll definitely get into that. We have a whole segment coming up, of course, on who we think is going to make it and who won't.
I guess that was the one thing that I took away is like there's guys out there on the pitch that shouldn't be the ones lollygagging through it.
Right.
I mean, if Landon and Dempsey and some of the other guys that know their spot were starting, yeah, I could see them kind of being half-hearted about it.
Right.
Because they know win or lose, they'll be there in June.
Yep. But not these guys that kind of have something to prove.
And that's what I really didn't get. Like, you got guys that are this could be one of their few chances between now and then to even show Jurgen that they can do it.
Right. And they're not really taking that opportunity. So, no, that's a really good point.
I mean, and maybe it's just like a guy like Wondolowski going, I already know I'm not freaking making this squad. What do I care?
And even if I do make it, there's no way I'm really going to see the pitch. So
it's just going to be a free trip. I'm going to waste some time of my summer.
Yeah.
Hang out in Rio. Hopefully don't get, stolen by some kind of drug
cartel. Some smugglers, yeah. Ideally that wouldn't be the case, but you just never know in Brazil.
Hopefully I keep both my kidneys while I'm here.
Yeah. So maybe it would be better to stay home, Chris. So let's actually talk a little bit about who we think might make that trip down to Brazil.
All right. Let's do our you ready for our first installment? Kind of like the guys on ESPN. This is our mock 11 1.0.
Okay.
This is our first go at it. I know you posted something on the blog a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
Kind of giving your who you think's in, who do you think's kind of on the bubble, who really needs to show up in friendlies against Scotland to make it. Why don't you go ahead and start with, give me your back line.
My back line.
Look, first of all, let's just be Tim Howard in the goal, right? We're all good. We're all going with that as the starting goal.
I think it's a certainty that he will start.
Barring injury.
Barring injury, I think it's a certainty he'll start.
Okay.
Can an argument be made for Brad Guzan to get the starting position?
Sure.
I think so.
I would say if they are sitting pretty, he starts that third match in group stage.
Yeah, he may, but that's only if they're sitting pretty.
If they're sitting pretty.
So, but I agree with you. I think Tim Howard is a lock for that back end.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting in front of him, I think for the most part we have our back line figured out at this point. There are some key kind of questions that need to be asked about a couple of the positions.
Like
but
who's doing what within it?
Yeah. So I think, oddly enough, DeMarcus Beasley is going to be our starting left back.
Who would have thought?
I know. No one would have. If you had told me that 6, 7, 8, 12
I was going to say, if I told you that
ago,
in 2010, you'd be like, that guy's international career is pretty much over, right?
Yeah, he weighs 12 pounds, and we're going to put him at left back. I don't know about that. But Beasley's really kind of proven himself, although he didn't have the best of matches, the other day against Scotland. He didn't play poorly. But no one had
and
a good
he's
one.
probably one of those guys that said, F it.
Yeah.
I'm cruise control, buddy.
Yeah. So I think he's a certainty. I think the other certainty in the back line is probably Omar Gonzalez from the Los Angeles Galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
If he's fit, he's going to be starting, and that's pretty much been the case.
Well, because you need him, because you need a big man.
Yeah. And he's got the presence in there. He's maturing as far as decision-making goes.
Right.
So he's going to be able to play that kind of leadership role in the back.
And you talk about our back line, for the most part, and obviously DeMarcus Beasley is the shining example of this, don't have a ton of size on the back line in a lot of cases. I mean, it's not a ton of dudes that you can put back there that are going to bring you that size that you'd want out there.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, it's not something that's absolutely necessary. You look at someone like Philipp Lahm, who plays right back for Bayern Munich in Germany, and he's only, 5'8". So, you don't need to be huge, but it certainly doesn't hurt to have a guy.
I would say you need at least
one or two
one guy back there that can, challenge headers.
Mm-hmm. Who's going to partner Gonzalez in the central defense? I think that is one of the big questions.
I think that's the mystery there. It's kind of the center of that donut there.
Yeah. So who do you think is going to be partnering alongside him?
So one of the guys I put in there, and I base this solely off of, I don't know if he is the perfect fit or anything. I think he's a good choice. But just looking at the way the rosters, the starting lines have been picked during some of the crucial qualification matches, I think Brad Evans is going to be in there.
In the center back?
I don't know if the center back role. See, I didn't go ahead and kind of figure out where I wanted guys to line up because people were a little bit all over the place throughout qualification.
Okay.
I put him there as a guy. I think he's going to get some starts.
Yeah, I think he's one of the right backs that's in contention.
He's one of those guys that you got to think that he's one of Jurgen's guys because he's been, as I said, he's started almost all the big matches in qualification. He was in the starting 11.
Yeah, so I think one person that could challenge him, and we talked about this before we started recording today, is Steve Cherundolo. So
obviously a lot of question marks with him.
Yeah, primarily his age. He'll be a whopping 35.
He's coming off of injury.
Yeah, he's just started retraining again with.
So, I mean, but that's the problem, his timetable. Like, is he going to have enough minutes for Jurgen to even go, okay, yeah, I can see how we can.
Well, I mean, he's got 6 months. So I think that's ample time to find your feet again. And certainly.
Hopefully it is.
Yeah. I mean, and he's the captain of Hanover, and he's been at the club now for 13 years. He's the longest-serving player with a single team in the Bundesliga right now, which I think is a ridiculous statistic. He is definitely a player of quality, and if he's fit and has his legs still, I think he's going to be pushing Evans for that spot. But I think as of right now, Brad Evans, the converted right-sided midfielder, is probably going to be the right back.
My other guy is Beasler.
Yeah. So that was the one that I was kind of curious about. And I think Beasler probably has the edge, much like Evans. He's been the primary big match pairing for Gonzalez.
He's been in there for a lot of the big ones.
But I think Jeff Cameron, who would like to be that other starting center back, would probably, have some argument with that.
I know he's at Stoke.
He kind of plays all over the place.
Yeah, I was gonna say, would he be more suited to be kind of almost a defensive mid?
So I mean, that's probably Cameron's biggest issue is
where is he?
Where do you use him? And the thing is he can do a job in a lot of different spots. Yeah. I mean, the best game he's ever played for the national team was when he was playing as a central midfielder, sitting in front of the back four, protecting them, really sweeping things up. And he prefers to play as a center back, and that's what he was signed to play as when he first went to Stoke. But he's primarily been utilized as a defensive midfielder and a right back at Stoke. And he can really play any of those positions, and he's played them all for the U.S. So I think his kind of notoriety as a utility man is kind of hurting him a little bit, and will probably, keep him out of his preferred position because he can do other jobs.
Sure. Do you still think, though, he's on the list of guys that'll be there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he brings a lot to the table. He's had some very strong showings,
right,
for this team.
Yeah, I mean and that utility aspect to him is the reason why he's a guarantee to make this roster as long as he's healthy. I mean, you only get to take 23 players to Brazil, and having a guy that can play 3-4 positions is ridiculously valuable. So there's no question whether or not he'll go. It's just a question of whether or not he can crack the starting 11.
Okay, let's start with your midfield. I don't know how you have it set up. I kind of have sort of a 2-3-1 setup as far as the rest of the formation.
So a 4-2-3-1.
So I got Bradley and Jones.
Okay.
I think Jermaine Jones, I don't know. I like him. I think he has the experience that Jurgen's looking for.
Yeah.
Obviously, Bradley's a shoo-in.
Yeah, I mean, Bradley's,
that's a cemented,
aside from Tim Howard, is the first name on the team sheet right now.
Right. And then I would say, and here's where I kind of get a little squirrely.
Mm-hmm.
I obviously Dempsey.
Yeah.
And then I would put Landon right behind Altidore.
Okay.
The other midfielder I'm throwing in there, and this is more just me making a bold prediction. I don't think it's going to happen, obviously, but I like what it brings to it because you look at, Bradley, Jones, Dempsey, Donovan, and even Altidore to some extent. They're pretty straightforward guys,
right?
As far as the style of play,
right?
I would say let's bring in a little pizzazz, a little someone that can get a little creative, be a little bit of a playmaker. I would go mix Discord. I really like what he brings to this roster. I don't think he's actually going to start.
Right.
I do think he is going to find a spot on this team.
Yeah.
Because he just, to use a baseball term, he provides that pop off the bench.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, you see in that Mexico match.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he comes in and within 90 seconds.
Yeah.
He's making that run in the box and setting up Landon. So I think he provides that spark and he provides that creativity.
Yeah. So I definitely hear your argument there, and I think he could be someone, depending on how he continues to develop over the next year, that could absolutely crack into the starting 11. I think he would be more than likely contending with someone playing more centrally, someone along the lines of Donovan or maybe even Dempsey, depending on how fitness concerns work out. But Diskerud has probably performed the best playing in the hole behind the striker for the national team. So I think Diskerud could displace someone, but I think it's kind of unlikely as it currently stands. I think you're right. I think he kind of provides a little bit of a pop.
Yeah, that's kind of why I threw him out there. It's kind of a wild card pick of just a guy that I really like.
Yeah.
A guy that I really think brings something special.
Yep.
To the side and brings something special when he's on the pitch.
Yeah. So I kind of agree with you. I think Donovan will be in the starting lineup. I think anyone that doesn't think Donovan's going to be in the starting lineup really underestimates what kind of intelligence he brings to the national team. And while he may be a little bit past his peak, he definitely is one of our better options still moving forward.
I think it's become such a played out talking point of is Landon still going to factor? Yes.
Yeah.
You know why? Because he's still probably one of the best players that can show a U.S. birth certificate.
Yeah, I mean, he's Dempsey aside and maybe Michael Bradley aside, the best player this country's ever developed, and he's not that far past it. And for people to think he's not going to be in, they're probably just too busy.
Well, yeah, a lot of
trying to pander to the masses.
Jurgen was all pissed off because he went on that, he went on his little excursion there.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he's back, and he's performing, and he's still laying in Donovan.
Yeah. So I do think he'll probably start out wide, and I think Dempsey will probably play a little bit more centrally.
You don't think he would play – you think he'll be out wide?
Yeah. Okay. I think he'll probably be playing out on the left. It's something he's done a lot playing for the Galaxy of late as well. So it's something he started off his national team career as well. So I think that's something that we could definitely see. And then I think we'll probably see Graham Zusi. I think that's my pick for playing out on the other wing.
He was the guy I was kind of just – I sat there and debated with myself because there's still not a ton of national team tape on that guy.
No. I mean, he's definitely green as far as understanding the international game, and he makes his mistakes. But there are two things that he provides that are really important. The first of which is true width. Yeah. Donovan's the type of player, and Dempsey are the type of player that if you put them out on the other wing, they're going to cut in, and that's how they play. And that's fine. That's their strength. But that means you have to have width on the opposite wing to be able to provide the space for those guys to actually be able to spread out the offense. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is he can provide the service in that Altidore needs to actually be an effective striker. And we need at least one winger serving balls in for him to really be the type of striker that's going to make us a better side.
And so you are going, then, obviously, Altidore up front.
And I think Altidore will be the starter. So.
I think he's pretty much – I know a lot of people like Johansson and what he brings, and I still think he's definitely going to – I think Johansson will probably be the number 2.
Yeah.
I think Eddie Johnson will probably – I don't know. Through qualifications, he kind of didn't play much of a striker role.
No. I mean, he did bag a really important goal in Columbus and had a good game there.
But he was in the striker role out of necessity.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think Eddie will make it onto the team, I think, as a reserve. I think he'll probably be one of the strikers we bring along. That guy's got a lot of issues going on right now. His contract issue with Seattle.
Sure.
There's been a lot of talk that they're shopping him around this offseason.
But that's going to be resolved by then.
It will, but here's the thing. Johnson never hangs around anywhere long. He's always there for a little bit, stirs up a storm, and then he's moved on.
Sure, but
so
it's the national team. He can't go anywhere else.
Yeah, he can't, but I am a little worried about maybe him being a disruption. And so I could see him potentially being left out just for team harmony's sake. But he seems to get along with most of the guys on the national team, so who knows?
All right.
Food for thought.
Give me one player who is out.
Who is out?
That has played a fair amount in qualification, but probably at the end of the day is not in.
I think one that you can certainly rule out is Carlos Bocanegra.
Sure.
It's been probably a year, 2 years since he's even made a roster or been called in to play with the national team. And yeah, he's a former captain, but he's really not even done that well with Chivas USA since he moved back to MLS. So I think he's definitely out.
Well, that's a great segue for me. Let's talk about that. We dragged out of the archives the 2010 World Cup rosters.
Yeah.
And obviously you mentioned Bocanegra. He was the captain throughout the World Cup. I got the Ghana. So the matchup against Ghana, starting 11. This is the last time USA has the last time they took the field in World Cup competition. Tim Howard at goal.
Right.
So there's one holdover.
Yep.
This back line the back line is completely different now.
Mm-hmm.
Cherundolo. I know we talked about it. He's still
in the talk.
He's still in talk to make the roster. And I don't know. Do you actually think he would start if he makes the roster?
I mean, here's the thing with Cherundolo.
You seem kind of convinced that if he brings what he has to offer, that
if his legs don't fail him, and as long as he can stay healthy, he is absolutely more than capable of starting for the national team. So I think he could.
It's a fair bit of ifs.
Yeah.
Or it's, I guess, as long as how you phrased it.
Exactly.
Jay DeMerit.
Poor guy can't even stay healthy.
No.
Every time he steps onto a pitch, he seems to break something. So Demerit's definitely out of the question. No way he's going to make it into the picture.
Jonathan Bornstein.
Man, where's that guy even playing anything anymore?
I don't know. When I saw his name on the roster, I was like, oh, yeah, that guy.
Yeah. So, grew up in Brazil, really didn't pick up enough of the Brazil.
Gucci Onyewu started a lot of the other matches. I think they kind of split it pretty much 2-2.
Yeah, I mean,
him and Bornstein.
Yeah, Onyewu, I think, obviously a pillar for the national team for quite a while, and his time's kind of come. He's kind of hit that age as a center back where the legs just can't keep up anymore.
What, he's in his 30s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mid to late 30s at this point.
Bocanegra. Starting at, he was the starting right back in this, or left back, in this match. He was the captain. I don't know. I mean, he's kind of fallen off the map in a lot of ways too.
Yeah, I mean it's the thing that you see. He was 31 at the last World Cup, so we're looking at 35 for this one, and that's a pretty high age for a center back to really be getting along. So it's one of those things. Defenders, those legs start to go, and you can't really keep up with those tricky little wingers.
Dempsey, Bradley, Landon in the midfield. That's all normal. That's all what we're still seeing.
Yep.
How about this? Ricardo Clark.
The bastion of the Houston Dynamo midfield currently, and formerly at that point as well.
And then up front, Josie Altidore and Robbie Finley.
Man.
I believe started 3 of the 4 matches they played. The Gomez had 1.
You always forget how kind of pivotal he was back then.
He was a big part of the U.S. men's national team. And now you think about him I can't even remember that guy was like a focal point of the offense.
Yeah, it's kind of unbelievable. Well,
I'm trying to think the last time he's even been called up.
It's been a while. It's been a long time.
I don't think it had, not through any of this qualification.
Yeah. I mean, the rest of the roster, to be honest with you, aren't people that we haven't seen anything of, recently.
Hercules Gomez,
he played a part during the Gold Cup.
Last year during the first part of qualifications, he was pretty vital.
Yeah.
I believe he had the goal against Jamaica in Columbus.
He did.
He was kind of a big deal there for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And
now he's kind of out of the picture again.
His face is on a milk carton at this point.
Yeah, well, I mean, Mexico. He plays down in Mexico for Tijuana, and they just came back into season, so maybe with him being out of season, that was a reason to leave him out. But
DeMarcus Beasley plays in Mexico too.
Yeah, I mean, Jose Francisco Torres plays there as well, and Orozco Fiscal. So I mean, there are a lot of guys.
Torres, another name on that list of guys that we're not seeing as much anymore.
Yep.
That were on that 2010 squad.
Yeah, the one name that really stands out to me, Jonathan Spector.
Oh my goodness. Maurice Edu.
Yeah. There's another one for you.
How the mighty have fallen.
Yeah, I don't even know where he's playing anymore either. A lot of these guys that have just really fallen off the map.
He was on Stokes reserve. Is he still there?
Yeah, he might still be on it, Stoke.
He hasn't made a single appearance.
No, not at all.
They don't like their Americans over there.
No, they don't seem to like them very well. So I mean, there's a lot of turnover, and I think the big difference between now and then is the depth of quality that this squad has.
Well, and that's kind of what I wanted to bring up. You look at that squad in 2010. You look at kind of just even our mock 11s here. Just how much better these teams are.
Yeah.
Or this team is.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a team with a lot more talent. The one thing I do caution against is I feel like we don't want to count our eggs.
Oh, I'm not doing that. But I'm certainly looking at this and going, okay, so Ricardo Clark starting in the center because we didn't have too many options otherwise?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really have, Jermaine Jones. You'd think he would have been a player that was playing for us, but he was actually still trying to play for Germany at that point.
Well, that's kind of the case for about 5 of these games.
Well, that's very true. So, yeah, I do think we have a luxury of midfielders at the moment as far as the options that are available to us. We still have issues in the back, the same kind of issues we've been dealing with for a long time, but that doesn't mean that things haven't improved, and I agree with you. I think things are looking a lot better, but we still have a long way to go.
All right, let's change gears. Talking about getting better, things improving. It's already, it's mid-November. It's already time to start talking about transfer rumors.
I know.
You almost don't want to, but it's like...
But it's about the time.
They're there. They're out there. Every day you're getting hit with some crazy and or plausible rumor.
Yeah.
You're getting hit with, this shock move here. No. Or you're getting hit with something that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and especially with the World Cup coming up, a lot of guys are trying to jostle for more playing time to guarantee that they're going to make their spot on the rosters.
Well, and let's get to that real quickly because that's what I wanted to kind of segue us into this transfer rumor talk. The big question with the U.S. men's national team is how many of these guys that are playing over in MLS are going to or just need to get themselves a loan?
Well, I mean, there are a few guys that this would be really crucial for. So someone that you think is going to be on the roster for sure. Brek Shea desperately needs minutes.
And he's been working on it.
Yeah.
Him and his people have been working on this.
They've been talking all about it, so hopefully they're not all talk.
Trying to get a championship side to
take the bait. Take the bait.
It's good bait. Just go for it. Somebody.
Get Brek. He is the American Gareth Bale.
He is.
Yeah.
If by Gareth Bale, do you mean just a kind of goofy-looking 20-something?
Yeah, that's pretty much about the only similarity.
With a
They're
cool
both
haircut.
left-footed.
They both have a cool haircut.
I don't know that I'd classify Brek's hair as cool.
He would.
He definitely would.
And that's all that matters.
That is all that matters.
So, okay, guy like Brek Shea, obviously he's working on it. He needs to get minutes.
Right.
I mean, I still think that he's in favor with Jurgen.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we saw the call-up. That's why, he's played well for Jurgen. Jurgen's tried to play him as much as he can. He was one of the guys brought into that Gold Cup squad. I think as long as he doesn't screw this up, as long as he can go somewhere and get some minutes, I definitely think he will. So he's got to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know who that's going to be. I'm not really sure the needs of the championship sides.
Yeah.
I'm sure they all need a lot of things.
Someone needs help.
They all need
there.
stuff.
Yeah.
Hence why they're not in the Premier League.
Yes. Yes, that's very true. So I think there's a market for him. I think he can find some minutes somewhere, and it would do him very well to find himself in Brazil.
How about some of the bigger guys? How about we're hearing that Dempsey, he has it in his contract.
That he can come back.
He's going to go likely somewhere.
Right. So he's probably the most likely of all the U.S. players to come back over to Europe in January.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of talk that Tottenham have first right of refusal on it.
Right.
It seems odd that they would sell him and then bring him back.
Well, the other thing I think with that goes is, does he look at the paper and go, well, Yol was my guy, and I don't want to go play for some schlup caretaker.
Yeah. So, I mean, that could definitely play into it for him.
Because he has gone on record several times saying that he loves Martin Yol.
Yeah.
He loved playing for him.
I think a lot of guys love playing for Martin Yol. I mean, I don't think that's...
If only they could play better for him.
Exactly. So I think Fulham would probably be a better fit for Dempsey. He'll actually get minutes there. Whereas at Spurs, he's just going to be brought in for squad rotation. He'll get some minutes playing in the Europa League, FA Cup, Carling Cup, or Capital One Cup, or whatever the hell it's called these days.
Suck Cup?
The Suck Cup. But, I mean, there are a lot of teams that could use a player like Dempsey, and maybe you could see someone like, Everton make a push for him.
Yeah.
Or maybe even someone like Southampton. You could see them making use of a player like Dempsey. So I'm just throwing out names here. Purely speculation.
When we look at the EPL table, there's so many teams that are like, in it, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
That I think there's a lot of those kind of mid-table clubs that are having a good start to the season that
could use a little boost.
Yeah, they're going to probably look for some kind of loan opportunity to help them out. I mean, they're not a big club that can go make a big January splash.
Right.
So they're going to have to kind of fill out needs through the loan anyway. Landon Donovan. Does he go somewhere?
I don't think he will.
I don't think he will either.
I think Landon has learned to enjoy his time off.
He likes some time off. And he lives in L.A.
Mm-hmm.
Go hang out on the beach.
People forget that he pretty much played consistently and solidly for 2 straight years.
Yeah.
Around the last World Cup when he went and had his loans at Everton 2 years in a row. I mean, the guy, he's 32. He'll be 32 years old here in January. He deserves breaks, and I think he could probably continue to use another one.
Right, and the only manager familiar with him is David Moyes, and I don't see where he's going to United and getting any kind of minutes at all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as much as I love Landon, and as much as as United's midfield is suspect, I don't see him fitting in and getting any kind of real play time.
Yeah.
So that's completely pointless. So I don't think there's really anywhere in the EPL that he could go that would make a good fit.
I think he could definitely contribute to a lot of teams, but I just don't know that anyone would want to bring in a guy that maybe isn't fully committed to the idea of
rather be at the beach
working that hard. So
throwing the frisbee around with the dog.
Yeah. Come on, chase it, boy.
Any other MLS US men's play? I mean, do you think like what if you're Kyle Beckerman? Like, are you trying to do something?
Yeah,
I don't know where you're fitting in Europe, though.
We saw last January, and it may not be permanent or, obviously not permanent, but maybe not actual legit moves where they're going and playing first team minutes, but more
go over and
trial with the team or spend a couple weeks training with them.
Right.
So,
we saw Breck do that with Arsenal, I think.
Yeah, I think Beckerman did it last year as well over in Germany.
Yeah.
A lot of guys went over and did those things, and I think that's really good experiences for him, and it's not as good as getting first team minutes, but it's a way to expand your horizons and learn new things. So I think we'll see quite a bit of that. I think the only other player that probably has a decent shot of maybe getting a loan, Dempsey seems like a certainty, but I think Graham Zusi maybe. If a team could.
Where would he fit?
Someone that's looking for some wing play. Maybe a Sunderland. They could use more wingers on that squad.
They could use anybody at this point.
They really could. So, maybe they should send him Bocanegra.
Yeah.
Maybe, stop up that leaky defense with tired legs.
Well, I'm sure Wondolowski could maybe get rid.
Yeah. You never know. So, I don't expect we'll see too many other, legit loans.
You think it'd be a lot of the just trials?
Yeah.
Training camp hangouts.
Yeah, but we'll see. I'll probably be proven wrong there.
All right, let's move to some of the big guys, the big rumors.
Rumors.
Splashing across the pages.
What, Breck Shea isn't big, back page news?
He's back page. He's back there for the ads for escort services.
Yeah, probably.
He might actually be one.
That would be something he would fill his free time with.
He's got plenty of it.
Yeah.
Him and Maurice.
Mm-hmm.
Chelsea. I'll start with them because, unfortunately,
I got a couple guys that seem to want to walk.
Well, apparently we got Hazard is told De Bruyne to roll out.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
To ludicrous music.
Yeah. Which is the best way to go.
Yeah.
I don't know what Chelsea's going to do. Obviously, they have some guys that need to probably either go on loan or just be done with Chelsea.
Well, De Bruyne's like a player that was getting regular and influential minutes for Belgium as early ago or as short ago as the summer.
And I would say Hazard's been public about it, but you got to say in that Belgian camp, they're telling him you need to go somewhere.
Yeah, there's no way they're not.
We got a World Cup where we think we can actually legitimately contend.
Yeah.
You need to go get yourself some minutes.
Yep. So, that's one player you would almost expect to see move away on a loan move at bare minimum. I can't see Chelsea letting go of him for real, but at the same time, the guy does need some minutes.
Pardon me, I have to go commit suicide. There's a Medea movie that also has Larry the Cable Guy in it.
Yeah, they just keep getting worse.
If somebody could just come and put a bullet in my head, that would be great right
now.
Yeah. What is Chelsea doing? Now, they're probably getting rid of Ba. That seems there's a couple suitors there for that. That seems fairly likely. I hear West Ham might.
Yeah, West Ham seems the most likely one for him. That seems like a good fit for him too.
Yeah.
They just take ex-Newcastle players that fail at big clubs. That's what they do.
They'll take anybody, I think, at this point. I think Boz, he's a good player. He can go help somebody out. He just odd man out in a striker force that looks to be growing in January. The green light.
You would be a little shocked if, Roman didn't bring in at least another striker.
He is telling Jose, not Josette, but Jose Mourinho.
Not Josette Mourinho.
To go out and get a striker. And obviously the big hubbub was that he was spotted at the Belgian match possibly looking at the other squad and seeing Mr. Falcao.
Yeah.
Of course, he could just be looking at the Belgians that are made up of 40% Chelsea-linked players.
Yeah.
I mean, you either play for them currently or you're out on loan from them.
Yeah, I mean, another Belgian player that was calling out practically for Chelsea to come and sign him was Alec Witsel, that currently plays for Zenit St. Petersburg. Really good player. Pretty much half of Europe wanted him to sign, before he moved on to Russia 2 years ago, and kind of a shock move, alongside Hulk, of course. So wouldn't be surprised to see them make a run at a player like him as well, but not exactly. Another midfielder isn't exactly what Chelsea needs at the moment.
No, that's the one thing we don't need right now, hence De Bruyne going somewhere else.
But probably the reason that you'll end up with a midfielder.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
If only we had Jose Mourinho, he'd know what to do.
He would know what to do. Actually, he just bumbled along.
Speaking of Hulk, though, there are the rumors that always come up that he wants to go hang out with his boy AVB, put on the Spanish side buckle, and get it cracking. Do you get yourself your hopes up when you hear things like that?
I have really mixed feelings about Hulk. I mean, he's got an awesome name. There's really no arguing that.
I think he's a very overrated player.
Yes.
I'm going to straight up say it.
I mean, he does one thing, and he does one thing very well, and it's smash free kicks. I mean, it's so totally perfect for his actual name. But that said, he really doesn't offer much dimension out on the wing. He's a very one-dimensional player, really plays up and down the wing, and really doesn't provide much service other than cutting in. So he's very much what Spurs already have a boatload of. And I don't know that we want another player that we're going to have to spend in excess of $30 million to land that pretty much does the same thing that Aaron Lennon and Andros Townsend already do for us. So would I be surprised if Spurs did it? No. I just hope it's not actually the case.
One person that might be leaving Spurs, though, Defoe.
Yeah, I think Defoe, he's another guy that's been linked to West Ham a lot. He's going to, if he wants.
Been linked to almost everybody at this point.
Here's the thing about Defoe, though. He's still getting regular minutes for England, even when he's been a reserve for Tottenham. So I don't think he really has to leave.
I think that speaks more to the English striker force than anything else.
Yeah, I would agree with you. But I think he seems kind of almost to be growing into this, super sub role for Tottenham.
So you think he's content?
Well, I'll say this much. We can't let him go unless we bring in another striker. So I hope we don't sell him unless we intend to start playing Adebayor or something.
How about this one? Nicholas Bentner went on record saying he wants to move to a big club. Yet currently the only people rumored to be interested in him would be Stoke, Hull, Sunderland, and Crystal Palace.
Yeah. So I feel a little bad for Bentner because he was misquoted a little bit on this one.
Was he, though?
Yeah. So
is that where we're going with? The translation?
I think it was a little bit of a translation thing.
It always is, isn't it?
The way that the story first came out, and I tweeted out something about this morning, was that he wants to go to Barcelona and Real Madrid.
On vacation?
Yeah. That seems the most likely way that he would actually get there. And as it really turns out, he said if he had his choice, clubs like Real Madrid and Barcelona would be coming after him. But he knows that's not necessarily the case.
Isn't that essentially always the question, though?
Yeah. I mean, we all would love to have Barcelona and Real. If Barcelona called me up tomorrow, even though I'm not a particularly huge Barca fan, I'd go.
I mean,
they're not
when they
ask
call that question, are they really wanting him to say, well, I hear Hull's terrible, but they want me?
Yeah. I'd like to go play for some crap team because I know I could play there.
Crystal Palace would gladly take me.
Yeah. He would go down there and join other Arsenal reject Marine Shamak. They'd make a great pairing down there with terrible hair.
The land of misfit Arsenal.
Yeah. And misfit haircuts. Shamak with all of his grease.
So I just found that one funny, that he was quoted as talking about Madrid and Barcelona. And in reality, it's Sunderland and Crystal Palace.
Well, he's another player that his national team coach is saying, get yourself some first-team minutes, boy.
Go get a real job.
Not that it much matters, of course, because Denmark aren't playing in the World Cup. So
yeah, that's true. I guess it really doesn't matter right now. There's no sense of urgency
to
get those minutes.
Yeah, if you don't want to lose your place for these summer friendlies, we'll have to play.
Back to Chelsea real quick. There seems to be growing rumors about John Terry to Galatasaray.
Does that seem like something John would do?
John seems like a guy who would take the money and run.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is pretty much what go and play in Turkey is.
And do we know if he has a taste for Turkish women?
I think
He doesn't seem like the type of guy that would discriminate.
Yeah,
against,
he doesn't discriminate.
The strange is what he's aiming for.
Yeah. Is it available and does it already have a husband? I'm in.
Yeah. Rules don't really apply to me. I'm John Terry. So that'd be an interesting thing. I hadn't seen much about that.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the things that kind of keeps it did crop up real quick and then die down and then show up 3 weeks later. Some other names that are the people that have been linked to some teams.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you have some other ones besides this. Benzema.
Yep.
Arsenal. That's someone they tried to go after apparently.
Yeah.
In the summer.
That would seem to imply that Madrid would have someone else coming in because they really don't have any other strikers with any legit experience.
Then that crops up the whole Suarez thing again.
Yeah. So maybe he moves on. Who knows?
So that would have to be the Suarez domino would have to fall first.
Well, I don't know that the Suarez domino would have to be the one. I mean, I could see them going after a player like Falcao.
So a domino where they get somebody in first. They're probably going to want to tie something up before they let him go.
You would imagine so.
Another name that I think his name has been up for the last couple windows as he needs to go somewhere else, get some minutes. He's good enough for it. Chicharito.
Yep, that's actually one of them I had written down as well. So, where he would go, he's linked to Spurs pretty heavily prior to the close of the summer window.
Right.
So I could see that maybe happening if Defoe moved on.
He was a guy in January that I was really hoping Chelsea were going to go after.
Well, he's the kind of guy that just poaches goals for you.
Yeah.
Which a lot of teams near the top of the table could use right now, including Manchester United, which seems a little odd that they might be letting him go.
Do you think they'll go after him?
I think there have been rumors that they're offering him a new contract. So
he'd be loaned out to Manchester United.
Yeah. They would loan him to themselves. So
we're going to loan you to the first team.
Yeah. I think, another name, of people trying to leave. There's been talk of Moussa Dembele at Spurs possibly moving on in search of first-team minutes, trying to get into that Belgium squad. So that could happen. But I think the biggest name I've seen so far as a potential transfer in January, Marco Reus.
Yes, that was the other one I was going to bring up.
Moving on from Borussia Dortmund to Barcelona.
Which kind of, and I think you brought this up in a tweet. What's going on at Dortmund where no one wants to stay?
I mean, it's a weird thing. I mean, they're like the darlings of, the hipster choice within European soccer right now, and everyone kind of likes the way they play. And
I like the way they play.
Yeah, and Klopp is.
I love me some Klopp.
Yeah, he's an interesting character to say the least.
He is a character.
But for whatever reason, their best players seem to just flock out, and it's part of their policy. Part of it's they sell on big name players to continue developing their entire system.
Sure.
It's
got to be eventually kind of discouraging for the fan base.
Yeah, I mean a little bit.
You really can't. You can't fall in love with anybody because as soon as they get real hot,
yeah,
Bayern or
someone will come snap
English
you up. But I mean the thing is they've had a great track record of replacing people. So I mean this goes all the way back to Sahin that left for Real Madrid. He was like their player of the year that season. But then Kagawa stepped into his shoes and played out of his mind. And then Kagawa shipped off to Manchester United.
That worked well for him.
And Mario Götze, became the next big thing. And then Götze was shipped off to Bayern Munich for, half the sum of, the Moldovan national squad, yeah. And now we're seeing Marco Reus kind of come to the fore, and he's now being linked off to Barcelona. But it's not just him anymore. It's also, Lewandowski.
Well, and that's the thing. From Götze to now, Lewandowski has also kind of been that name that's like, when's he going to go?
Yeah.
Someone's going to be interested in him.
Well, he's
a striker.
gone.
That's a high commodity.
He's gone in the summer. I mean, he's already said he's not going to sign a new contract with them, and he's going to ship off. Most likely to Bayern Munich.
Or if someone is able to come in before then, which I would say there's going to be a few other teams making some runs.
There will be.
Mainly one in blue,
Mm-hmm.
one in sky blue.
Yep.
And then, just for the hell of it, one in red.
Yeah, you could even say an all-white team in Spain would probably be making a move too.
They might just, why not?
So I mean, I think it's an odd situation at Dortmund. There's got to be something going on behind the scenes that would make players want to leave. It also just could be, cold hard greed.
Cash money, eh?
Yeah. So money talks.
Get that euro.
Yeah. Jerry Maguire stuff. So, I mean, there are a lot of big names already floating around. We'll see all sorts of ridiculous crap pour out in between now and, January 1st.
Let's kind of just hit a couple of the big squads in England. Obviously, Chelsea, it's no secret. They're going to make a move for striker. Hopefully, it works out. It really didn't in the summer, so
right.
It counts 0-1. Let's see if we can get a hit on this one.
Yeah. I think we'll see Arsenal probably make a move for some defensive cover.
Yeah.
You would expect they would.
Well, that's what we expected them to do at the deadline back in September.
Yeah. I also wouldn't be surprised to see them sign a striker, seeing as how Olivier Giroud is pretty much being played into the ground at the moment. So
yeah, they kind of need a little bit of depth there.
But all seems to be running well in that half of North London. So maybe Wenger will just do what he normally does in January, is put his hands in his pockets and
try to zip up his coat.
Yeah, and try to zip up his coat.
United. Well, I mean, I don't know
what don't they need? I mean, there are a lot of things they need, but I think a lot of their players, the injury situations they've been dealing with this year, a lot of young players trying to be bled in a little bit. I wouldn't be shocked if they didn't do a whole lot in January.
Because, basically that's their offense, is the two of them.
Yeah.
You need somebody else that can score a freaking goal.
Well, I mean, I think what they need more than anything is someone to help them out offensively in the midfield. A good wide player to maybe balance out Valencia on the other side. Someone that's going to do some of the dirty work behind the lines and serve into players like RVP and Rooney and let them do their work higher up the field. So maybe something like that. I think a center back is definitely something they need to be aiming for with Vidic getting older by the minute. Rio Ferdinand is clearly at the end of his career. Johnny Evans hasn't really stepped up.
Sure. Smalling's been a disaster.
Smalling can't stay fit, can't play well, all those kind of things. So I definitely see them bringing in something back there as well. But
the City beat Smalling like a rented meal.
Yes.
I mean, it was bad.
Yeah. Speaking of City,
what do they do?
I mean, they'll spend money.
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to do it just because
that's what they do.
Impulsive.
Yeah. Who they'll buy? If someone worth a lot of money, they'll overpay. They'll overpay for them. I mean, you literally can't really be sure what they're going to do. I mean, I don't think they need any help in the strike department. Negredo's been playing pretty well. Aguero, obviously in decent form. Maybe defensively, with Company, they can't really seem to keep him fit.
Yeah, they've had some injuries.
So, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
And then if we're
keeper?
Yeah, that would actually probably be the one. How do I skip over that? Yeah. We talked about, perhaps before them bringing in a big name keeper, maybe someone like Iker Casillas from Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Potentially. But that would be a pretty risky move for Casillas as well. So we'll see how it all plays out.
Liverpool, they're kind of set.
They are pretty set. I think what we'll see them do is bring in players both for the future and to kind of round out their squad.
Depth,
yeah. I mean, I think they still need some help, at the backs, particularly out wide, and maybe even some central defense there as well. But for the most part, I think we're just going to see kind of.
Did we just talk about Liverpool positively?
Yeah, I think we did.
Boo.
There are going to be some listeners that are going to be really happy about that.
Suarez still a monster.
He says that he's happy to stay now, but that guy changes his mind every 5 minutes.
We thought he was done in the summer, too.
We did. I
mean, he was good as gone in the summer.
Yeah. So I think, every window that's a club that is going to be worried about losing him. With reason.
Everton?
I mean, they could use help all over the place.
Sure.
So, Spurs.
You mentioned the whole defensive thing for United. Do they go and get Leighton Baines?
I mean, they keep getting linked to him.
Does Moyes try to get his boy?
I think Everton would be kind of asinine unless United offer up silly money.
Which they have the ability to.
Yeah. But I don't know that that's their biggest weak point. And Baines isn't exactly someone that's young that you should really be spending that kind of money on.
But he's still good.
He is very good. But you're only going to get, 3 years, 4 years max out of him. So
It's United. Everyone's career's short unless
that's true.
Unless your name is Scholes.
Yeah. That's very true.
What about your boys?
I mean, we could probably use some help in the strike department.
Sure.
Considering we have 3 goals from open play this season.
Just keep getting penalties.
Yeah, that's the way to hinge your entire season,
We're a PK-oriented team.
We really are. I think we need help at left back if we're not going to bring back in Benuaso Okoto. I think we definitely need some help there and someone maybe to rest Kyle Walker every once in a while so the guy can, have someone competing for one of his spots. We're going to have like a Joe Hart situation with him before we know it. So a lot of moves can be made by a lot of different teams.
Will any of them actually happen?
Who knows?
We'll have to wait and find out.
Yeah. We'll probably be wrong about all of this.
Yeah, watch it just be a dud transfer window. Nothing happens.
That could very well happen.
You got a pub?
I do have a pub this week. So
How about that?
You made a selection of a city.
I had a request.
Yeah, he had a request.
Long distance dedication.
Yeah. And where was that request for?
One of my former homes.
Oh?
Birmingham, Alabama.
Ooh, a bastion of soccer.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, it's really popular down there.
Yes.
But we do, just to kind of prove that we do have bars all over this map, we do have 2 bars.
Okay.
That are in the area.
Can I take just a bit of a guess?
Sure.
Are both of them in the 5 Points area?
They are.
Okay.
They are both in the 5 Points area.
That's like the trendy, like wherever you live, that trendy part of downtown, that's 5 Points in Birmingham, Alabama.
Well, there you go. So the one that I went with is Good People Brewing Company.
That is I have not been there. Mm-hmm. They opened after I moved away.
Okay.
But my friends that have had their products, because they do brew their own stuff, say they are absolutely fantastic.
All right. Well, good to hear. So it's not clear whether or not they open up early for matches, but they have been known to stay open rather late for U.S. men's national team matches, as they are the home of the Birmingham chapter of American Outlaws.
Oh, there you go. That's something right there.
Yeah. So expect to run into some fellow U.S. fans there. As Jeremy noted, they do serve the stuff that they make, normally with up to 6 different varieties on tap at one time.
Very good.
And then, top-notch stuff, apparently. Not only are you recommending it, or at least your friends are recommending it for you, but the reader who actually submitted this bar said it was some of the best beer in Alabama. So.
Well, hold on. Saying the best beer in Alabama is like saying this is the best podcast from this studio.
Yes. That's probably true.
It's a very limited selection in Birmingham.
We don't know how many podcasts are recorded in here. Well, you probably do.
Just this one.
Okay, so we are the best then.
We are the best.
Take the title. They do have a plethora of the television stations you would expect or want to be able to watch matches, so that's always good. But definitely go down there, check it out. Good People Brewing Company in Birmingham, Alabama.
Iron City.
Yep.
The other Iron City.
Down in
Birmingham,
Alabama.
Same thing. It's steel.
Yeah.
Workers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Steel things.
Steel things
Guys
are
banging
in those
on
cities.
Stuff and making steel.
Major metropolis type things.
Yeah.
So,
they have a airport. I don't know if it's an international
Sounds
one.
a fancy town. Sounds a fancy town.
Birmingham actually is really cool. It is basically just think of Atlanta, and then just think of what if Atlanta was a tenth of the size.
So, like Dayton, Ohio, by itself.
But just really nice.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, like most southern cities, very beautiful looking, just very nice. Everything's kind of upscale. It's hot.
Nice.
That's Birmingham, Alabama.
Nice. Well, that sounds pretty exciting.
Your soccer game will be turned off at most places.
Once a football
game.
game.
For a replay of the Alabama spring game. So, yeah, that's Birmingham, Alabama.
All right. Well, good to know, if nothing else.
All right. Next week, we got some pretty solid matches this weekend.
Yeah, we do have some good ones coming up.
Everton hosting Liverpool.
Yep. Little Merseyside derby.
Man City hosting Tottenham.
Yeah. I'm a little nervous about that one.
Yeah. How are you feeling?
I'm a little nervous about that one.
It's nothing. Just have them just screw up defensively.
Yeah.
Just make sure Joe Hart's in goal.
That's true.
I don't know if that's possible.
We'll see how it plays out.
Arsenal, Southampton. I think that's kind of a decent one.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't expect that to normally be one, but the way Southampton have been, those Saints.
Let's see it.
Yeah.
Let's see if Arsenal can rebound.
I would like to see them chirp up again. Ball in your face, Scooters.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
And then, this one's not like, whoa, look at this big clash of the Titans, but Chelsea coming off of 2 bad results.
Mm-hmm.
They play at West Ham. They lost this match last year.
Well, bad omens.
So who knows what's going to happen? So potentially another disaster for Chelsea.
Yep.
So, Champions League also starts up next week.
Yep. I do want to make note for the local side as well. Cincinnati Saints will have their next home match here at the Tri-County Sportsplex in northern Cincinnati.
Awesome.
Yep. They will be playing 7:30 against the Illinois Piazza.
Excuse me? What are they called?
The Illinois Piazza.
Like Mike Piazza, the old baseball player that had a whole press conference to say he wasn't gay?
Yeah. I don't know if these guys are or are not gay, but they are. Piazza is Piasa. I'd love to say that I know more about their name and what that stands for, or where they even play in the state of Illinois. But
I don't even know what to say about that.
Yeah.
That's
but they're
an interesting side.
Yeah, but they're playing at 7:30. So if you're in the Cincinnati area, come out and support your local side. Give them a shout.
Have a couple cold ones.
Catch some hot indoor action.
I'm guessing like most indoor places I've been to, you can get that cold drink by the pitcher.
You can. As
Bingo.
long as they haven't run out of pitchers.
Bingo.
You should be fine. So
boom goes the dynamite.
Come check it out. You might even catch me there.
All right.
So,
we'll see you next week, folks.
It's been fun.
Thanksgiving coming up.
All right.
Gobble, gobble.